Hello, I finally finished making my training dummy for at home. Quite like how it turned out. Looks pretty good. Works pretty well as well. In this video I'm going to be briefly showing about 56 training drills. I won't be going into much detail on them, and I think it'll make more sense for people with a general understanding of how to do some of the drills. One good book to look up on the wooden dummy is a book called The Invincible Man by Kevin Earl, and that's a student over there on the cover. It's a very interesting book. It's some great wisdom in there for beginner or long-term trainer. I definitely recommend it. I'll be putting a link in the description or in the comment section. I've also taken in some of the ideas from his YouTube channel, the guy that wrote that book, Kevin Earl. I'm covering about 56 drills in this book, and about 4 of them were inspired directly from his video clips, so I'll put a bit of a reference in there as well. So I'm just going to go over clip by clip, about 30 seconds of each drill. I wrote down a bunch of training drills and I put them in a card game, so this is just a third of the deck. The rest are at my container studio where we do the training. So I won't get to too much more talking, but I hope you enjoy the video clip. It might seem a bit disjointed how it's just showing one clip after another clip after another clip, but I'm just editing it on my phone essentially, so I haven't really got much equipment for editing or anything like that. Alright, enjoy. Your classic Tan South strike, advancing around. You can hit down low or up high. So you might just make a triangle, use your Tan South strike. One habit I have a bad habit of is leaving my thumb out on the dummy. So sometimes I do stuff like that. I leave my thumb out. It's a good way to get your thumb snapped. So everyone makes mistakes. That's why sometimes I like these videos, because I can look back and go, oh, sometimes I look at stuff from years ago and think, oh God, no wonder they didn't like what I was doing. Other times in this video I'm sort of doing laps out on the inside of the triangle. This time I'm practicing it on the outside of the triangle, so it's more like a chopping motion. When I say chop, I don't mean like chop, but the force is still sort of forward strike, or if I'm from the side it's similar to that type of strike, but it's not that type of energy. It's more is similar to this part of the form or this part of the form, but I'm not going like that. So this here, not much to it. Where this here, the first one glanced off. I wasn't really concentrating. So we would do these moves. Boom. Dummy feels extra hard today. I must confess, I actually call this sort of Tan South Fox Sow or Tan South Gun Sow. I call it the whirly bit because it kind of whirls around. Some styles they do it out here because I think they're envisioning striking it out like that, and I actually used to do it that way for years myself. Now I sort of picture this sort of thing here so that it's on the other person who's making them do that. There's 2 whirly bits in the dummy form. One is this bit, the other is this bit. So from here I'm just transitioning between the two. a strike in between. That was a bad one because I actually went backwards. So the basics are always important. If you're trying to do all this and this and this and you haven't got the basics of the stance and the sulam kia, then sometimes you've got to go back and go, I need to practice on balance. This one here, I'm just making contact and I'm just sort of moving around and feeling where the opening is. So from here I can kind of feel that's where the opening is. So from here I can kind of feel that's where the opening is. So I'm just sort of moving around randomly with my feet, just feeling where I can strike. So I sort of just move a bit randomly, feel where the openings are. Here, not much here, but if I move here, there's an opening. Okay, within the triangle arm, you've got, basically there's only a few positions your arms can be, so I'm just familiarising with them. You've got tan sao, back sao, you can go down to chit sao, gan sao, so you, back sao, tan sao, back sao, back sao, tan sao. When you get familiar with those, you can add in strikes. Some of my own Wing Chun, I've got my own adaptations, so I don't say, well, mine's exactly the same as the way they do it. It's a bit like people that are into like a line of succession. It's like saying, well, if Mike Tyson was my coach's coach, then I must be exactly like Mike Tyson. No, you're not. You're going to be doing it your own way. But sometimes it's good to really take in some of the wisdom and knowledge from some of those people that have been training before you. This one here is shearing through at the dummy arm. So, boom. So I hope I'm not misrepresenting, but I just like the idea because someone's just put their arms up and you're just shearing through. So I'm not just bashing toward the arm, I'm going toward the mass. Side advancing, heading high and low. Latching and striking. Call it latching because even though it's moving the arm back, this one here is still prepared to strike. So this one here is pulling the other person's arm or yanking it a little bit, is ready to go. It's not, you're not just going like this and then pausing with all this tension. This one here, there's bringing this arm backwards, is also set up for a strike. So even the defense is actually aiming as offense. Right, I'm aiming off the dummy, realigning to the dummy. Off the dummy, realigning to the dummy. Sometimes in actual fighting, the person you might be adjusting and you might be moving around, and so your arms kind of stop their arm, but now you've got to realign. I don't just go like that, I turn my centre to realign to their centre. So it's hitting to the centre by turning my centre. So I don't have to go all the way back to here and then strike. From here I'm just going straight in like that. So it's similar to this part of the form where we go like that. I don't have to go, right, I've just redirected the arm away, now I've got to go to here and then strike. Sometimes when you redirect them away, you're just coming back in with a strike. So I'm from off my centre, I'm realigning to my centre. Off my centre, I'm realigning to my centre. Off the centre, I've stuffed it up somehow, some of the moves in the dummy form are for when you do things on the wrong side to what you classically taught. I've ended up facing this way, and then what do I do? I'm realigning. I've moved out of the way, I'm facing this way, and now I'm realigning to my target. So it's from off the centre to the centre. I've always liked on the punching bag, I've sort of visualised this bit of the form here, using it to strike like this. And sometimes in Chi-Sao, my training partner, he gets me up quite high like this and he just goes crash down here, and I've had to caution him, look mate, a bit close to the collarbone, because you can feel that if he actually used any force, and it doesn't take it's not very hard to do, that could really damage the collarbone there. There's a good video clip by a guy called Kevin Earl about bitch slaps, and he's talking about just relaxing. I'll leave some links maybe in the description of his YouTube page. Some of his video clips. He's really a pioneer of Wing Chun in New Zealand, and a great inspiration. He taught my teacher's teacher, and I'm very lucky to have come across Wing Chun because I've been training 22 years now. I call it bitch slap, and I'm misrepresenting it because I'm quite tense, but just for the physical movement, it's just slapping dummy, nice and relaxed. But I've got a lot of practice to do on this. Alright, if I'm intercept the arm from the dummy arm, I'm hitting with the leading hand. So if I intercept here, from here I'm just striking with the leading hand. From here, striking with the leading hand. So I'm just sort of mucking around in the middle of the triangle. Mucking around's a bad word, but you know, you're freestyling and your arm's here. From here, I'm just hitting with the leading hand. From here, I'm hitting with the leading hand. So, Pak Sao, punch. Tan Sao, strike. Chit Sao, punch. Gun Sao, strike. Hitting with the leading hand. Okay, another one that I picked up from Grand Teacher's teacher is these bits I call the whirly bit. It's not the actual name, but I don't get too fussed up on the name. Some people on the internet, they've got like 1,000 names and you don't actually know what they're talking about. To me, it's quite simple. So I'm using sort of this bit from the form combined with that bit from the form, and I'm just doing it that side, that side, that side, that side. I've seen this in one of Grand Teacher's YouTube videos, and I thought that's quite a nice trick, because it's just subtly practicing these little movements, and that's what it is these little movements you can't really describe unless you're actually feeling them on you, but they just go like that, and it makes the other person move quite dramatically. I guess it's they're using balance and relaxation, and that there, it just seems to when those type of things, because Steve, one of my students, he is a master at just boom, and he's rolling like this, and he's just suddenly, it's like a split second, he says boom, he's got you, and it's just that. And sometimes you might have the person's arm kind of in an arm bar. Now I know I'm ranting a little bit here, but this type of movement here can really send you flying, and it's just that. And a strange thing is, I move a little bit here, and the other person moves out quite far here, so you're using a small movement to get a big result, and that's one of the things I like about Wing Chun. Yeah, I'm just randomly double kicking the dummy. Oh, that was a bad one. I blame my shoes. It's different shoes to what I'm wearing. There was one guy that got beaten up. He called himself a grandmaster, and when he got beaten up, he said, "Oh, it was because I was wearing kung fu shoes." And they're like, "But don't you do kung fu?" So random double kicks. You can kick that leg, kick that side. threading, 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 but this time threading to double palms, threading to double palms, threading to double palms, double palms, sort of using a sweep on the back of the leg. You might come in like that, sweep someone's leg at the same time as tripping them up. You come in and kick their other leg. It might just be like this. It's good for shoulder grabs. I can't really explain the technique because you can't see it, how it would be applied on another person. But I'm just shearing down on the arms. And if someone's grabbing shoulders, also you can move them away. So you can combine them both in a drill. This bit, strong high, strong low. From turn south with strike, you can go to repeat this bit. Switch sides, you can use this bit from the form. Okay, you've got your side with pecs here. Advance around. Our strike with combine it. Alright, you can practice these. Okay, within the triangle arm, you can practice sort of like a lap sour changeover. You might visualise it differently. Sometimes if the arm's on the way here, I might use this bit to just clear the arm to make way for a strike. This bit can't really be explained very easily unless you actually know how to do the laps out drill. So I'm assuming some of these things are for people with a general understanding of how to do the basic Wing Chun drills. From a low arm here, I'm stepping in and punching from this arm as the leading hand, and then following up with a turn south strike. So it goes. From reasonably far away, kicking the leg, pec souring into shot. Pec sour shot. Pec sour shot. I'm on an angle. Kick, pec sour shot. Pec sour shot. Alright, from the elbows collapsed and I'm coming in under here, striking, striking, elbows collapse, underneath, striking, striking, striking. So I might be moving around, striking, striking, moving around, striking, striking. From here, under, striking. So it's almost like literally from the form. One way of doing tan sao, gan sao is using the forearm for contact. This drill here, I'm using the knife hand. So I'm using sort of that. So there's different ways of doing things. You can come in through the dummy arms, or you can come in down like that. But anyway, in this version I'm using the knife hand. I prefer in general using the forearm because something's coming in and all of a sudden boom, I've sort of, this is quite a lot of area to protect, where if I'm sort of just trying to chop the arm, sometimes I might stuff it up or something like that. But if you can chop the opponent's or fleshy part of the arm, it really gets, like when you come in and hit and someone blocks right on there, ouch man, you're in pain. So this is sort of filleting the arm. Chum Q form, where it does this sort of thing. Not really demonstrating too well. Whenever the camera's on, I feel I've never quite demonstrated it as well as when I'm practicing by myself. But you can use it on the arm like this. Okay, so I don't really envision it like snapping someone's arm like that, to bend their arm backwards, although it can be used for that. Sometimes I think of it as the strike's coming in, I'm moving out of the way, and this is extra protection that ends up striking like this, and then that would turn into a strike, kind of like that. It also, this movement here can be used, because it's using this bit from the Sulam Tau where I'm bringing my man sao back to wu sao, but I'm also directing my forearm across. So if the other person's arms are like this type of movement is very good for getting the other person to go like that, leaving the whole upper body free for attacking. So there's any movement in Wing Chun can change to a different purpose according to what you're doing at the time. Repetitive bong sao, tan sao strike. Bong sao, tan sao, bong sao, tan sao. We're here. Sometimes you might see me aiming off to the side of the dummy. This is exclusive to some of my own ideas. Basically, the shape of the arm here, like that, this is where my face is. So if I take that shape and go here, boom, so that's where I might be visualizing the focusing point. So this drill here is mimicking lap sao, where your arm's collapsed and you've caught it in wu sao, you're latching the arm and striking. So I'm just going to mimic that feeling. I'm just going to chop, strike, chop, strike, chop, strike, boom, boom, boom. like this. With these bits here, I'm getting a feel for where I can move around. Alright, from reasonably far away, I'm just coming in, kicking the dummy leg, and doing a tongue south strike through the centre of the triangle. Bit of a sensitivity exercise from just maintaining contact on the tan sao, sort of like a sloping movement similar to gan sao, but up a bit higher, like that. You can accompany it with striking. Sometimes the person's you've blocked them down here, and then they try to circle around, and you can maintain your personal space from gan sao to tan sao well in contact with the other person. So it's hard to describe without actually demonstrating on a person, but the sensation in the arm is very similar to if it's down here and suddenly they strike up and I'm covering my space. Basic triangle, I'm practicing a block against sort of circular strikes accompanied with a counter strike at the same time. So from here I'm just advancing around the ball. There's a movement in chi sao where if the other person's arms are crossing, and maybe your own arms are crossed and you might get trapped, what you can do is you can swap. It's hard to describe without a partner, but you're basically swapping their arm and crossing it so they end up in a kind of pretzel arm position. So you're guiding their arms across and then you're swapping and you're grabbing, and then you can bend their arms sort of back like that if you want. On this I'm just practicing that similar thing here. That. So I'm swapping one high, one low, one high, one low. And now I'm doing the same thing as the last one. This time I'm adding in a kick. Be careful with these sort of things here, because if you're crossing your own arm, the other person can trap both your arms. So you've got to do it in a manner where you're moving on an angle where your arms are sort of not really crossed. They're kind of like man sao, wu sao, and then it's swapping the sides. So it's hard to describe without actually showing in detail. But here I'm just going. Going the elbows up, out, up, out. So you might pat the arm away, up, out. You can use it as kind of like sensitivity where I stick with it. So someone's done a round strike with a blatant arm like that. I've blocked it and then I'm keeping contact, bringing their arms down and coming in and striking. using these bits from the form here, I'm just away, and go over the pecs out. There it was bad, my fingers touched. So if you're mucking around, you're going to do it wrong. So sometimes it pays to just repeat the same thing over and over, so that you can do it virtually without thinking. Because when you get attacked, you're not going to have time to think. The arms in contact, guiding it away, striking. With this bit here, like that, just taking this bit at the end sections of the dummy form where it does this, and I'm just from here, like that. There I'm a bit rigid, a bit tense. I've literally just gotten up because I work night shift. Alright, in the Sulam Tau you've got this sort of thing at the end. Not much is really talked about that. It can be used to break someone's grip. I tend to think of it as if the hand's on this side and I want to get to that side. So the arm's on this side, but I want to get to that side. They're intercepted, something's on my arm and I'm kind of clearing it off my arm as well. So there are lots of uses that just naturally you kind of go, hey, it's that move. In the third form, empty hand form, there's a similar type of motion, and I'm not doing it very well because I'm on camera and I'm sort of talking at the same time. But you can use these arms here to mimic that kind of threading. You might turn it into a palm strike. Follow up. But yeah, something's on my arm. I can't really do much, but under here I can sort of thread to get my arms free. Right, so you've got this type of thing. One way I've seen it done in other lineages is to sort of be on the outside, kind of like this. When I first started doing this movement, I thought, seems odd. But a few times in Chi Sao, when I've been kind of tangled up, I've kind of gone like this, and the person's kind of gone flying back, and I've realised that actually it's in the similar posture. So you kind of stuck in there, and you sort of go like this, and the person goes flying back, and it's like, hey, the drill actually works. So sometimes when you apply the drill in motion, you're not really thinking about, oh, I'm going to go do this drill or I'm going to do that drill. It just occurs naturally. Oh, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. So this one here, the hand that's in Wu Sao is the one that goes around the arm. Most advancing around the dummy is keeping pretty close to the dummy. This one here I'm just advancing a bit wider, and it seems to be set up for a good chop. So it might be on bong Sao, and I might step out a bit wider. Then this gives you room for kicking. So I might go chop, kick, strike. Chop, kick, kick, strike. This one is elbow up, out and in, up, out and in, up, out, in. Not really demonstrating too well. Feel a bit off today. Sometimes you have good days of training, sometimes you have bad days, sometimes when the camera's on and you're trying to explain stuff. So anyway, up, out, in, up, out, in, up, out, and up. Out, in, 1, 2, 3. Striking with tarn sow. So one hand's doing your tarn sow, the other hand's striking. You got the option of going up high or down low. Just chain punching, stepping around it. If you're finding this difficult, you can count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Advancing quite wide with the chop and then coming in with a closer chop. So it goes chop, chop. Sometimes when I speak in general terms, I'm not trying to use semantics. When I say chop, it's like a chop to the throat, but it's more like a knife hand. It's more like a straight hand. It's not this type of thing. It's using your elbow, your body mass into the strikes. So it's not just chopping. Chopping might start not using the word chop and replacing it with knife hand. Sometimes little things can change your mindset, just the way you describe them. Like, in general, like something stopping me from hitting is blocking it. But the word block could imply that force against force. So you could replace that semantic by saying it's covering your space. So it's almost like your arm's a tree branch and the person's just bashing their arm on a tree branch. I'm not just going out to go meet there, strike force against force. Like, I'm not going to go block it like that, because then it depends on who has the stronger force is going to win. If the person's really quite huge and I'm going out to meet that, they might be bigger than me and I might hurt my own arm. But if I can relax and use my structure, I can take their force and the force goes through my arm into the ground and glances off. And it's quite a strong structure, this basic structure. Anyway, that's basic training, so I won't go too much into that, even though I just did. Alright, doing this bit here, most of the times I use kind of like a Huan sow, and strike on the inside of the dummy. So if I'm doing this sort of thing, usually striking on the inside. But sometimes just for a drill, you can strike from the outside. Alright, the peg sow punch drill. Sometimes when you do it toward here, it can cause a hunched shoulder, like that. So to remedy that, I'm just heading off to the side slightly. Someone said, oh, you have to clear the arm before you can strike. Really, there's a way of sort of redirecting the person's arm and almost striking simultaneous. So it's 2 hits, the arm and the face, 2 hits, 1 sound. 2 hits, 1 sound. So if I'm going here, my arms are kind of stuck and they might get trapped. Also, it's nothing, something, nothing, something, where you want it to be something, something. Always attacking, so I don't go block and then strike. You can do it in one go, block and strike. Okay, when I was making my training dummy drill card game, I started to run out of things to come up with. I was coming up with this bit here, one arm's going down and one arm's going up. So it's really mainly for coordination, because it's quite hard to coordinate that. I mean, it looks easy because you can see me doing it on camera, but it's using the left and the right part of the brain. Wait, one part's going up one side of your body's going down, like this. Then when you get familiar with that, both arms almost become one arm. They're both acting in unison. So these coordination drills are about getting your whole body to be able to be used according to, like, you might have to block and you might have to defend at the same time. You might even have to kick. So it's three things at once together as one. Okay, kicking this leg, this leg. So I'm swapping the feet as I advance around, planting my foot on this flat leg, using the other one to kick, then I'm stepping across and kicking. For another drill, you can come in and from this leg you can kick the back leg. So it goes 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this one I'm going. It's almost like a Wu Sao, Tan Sao outward like this, and I'm swapping like this. You can go over the arms as well. What this is doing is it's mimicking when you're getting the other person's arms crossed, you just like this and into them. So their arms are crossed, you're yanking them as you're like this, just straight into the face. So, alright, from far away and off a bit of an angle, I'm just stepping in, putting my bongs out there naturally, and it just slips into place. So from here, I'm just putting my arm up, it just slips into place. Over here, just put my arm there, boom. So I'm using the rolling motions of the Wing Chun arm sets, and I'm just letting them naturally occur. So from here, I can't get to the person like this, but if I move out here, the circle of the arm naturally turns my arm over to allow for striking. So that's something that you have to really feel for yourself, but you're like, oh, what's going on? Your arm's here, boom, it just naturally turns to realign. So it's just slipping it into place. This one here, I'm just using Tan Sao strike, and then I'm sort of just circling the arms like this, and then like this. This mimics the person's arms heading towards you, and you're using that Tan Sao to redirect it away at the same time as I'm striking. So I recommend everyone, as well as from the guidance from your own teacher, you're going to be training for years and years and years, and sometimes you can think of your own way of maybe mimicking something that's like a sensitivity exercise in class. You can find your own way to do it. Like as a beginner, we didn't even have a training dummy. I just used to use the corner, and I used to use that. So I was never formally taught by you know, my Sifu or my Kung Fu brothers to go up against a wall and start doing that. It just naturally picked it up. So some stuff in this video, I look and I'm like, oh, I've got open fingers. I was always taught that that's bad, because if you get your finger punched back, it can be you're in for some real trouble. In fact, I've broken my finger. Ironically, it's because I was using those safety gloves. Because of the weird nature of them, it doesn't allow your finger to move back, so it just snapped back at the joint. So I personally don't endorse using those kind of UFC type safety gloves, because they make the finger weird like this. So when you're using these open palm techniques, your finger's really vulnerable. So some stuff in the video, I look at it and I'm like, oh, I've got to work on that. One big one is, I see on the internet a lot of people are looking down at the arms when they're training, when the actual person's over there. So you're in a fight and you know, I'm sort of looking toward the hand here, I'm going to get hit by the other one. I want to be engaged and intent on destroying my target. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, have a good day.